给我100万，现在就现在给我100万，我也不会生呀。
It's the most populous country in the world with over 1.4 billion people living here. But, believe it or not, China has a population problem. Here's why. With a population bigger than North America and Europe combined, you wouldn't necessarily think China's leaders would be worried about how many people live there. A recent census revealed it has a population of 1.41 billion people. But the rate of growth is slowing. And more worryingly, the number of babies being born is going down.
然后3胎的话是不会要了，2个就好了。
In 2020, 12 million babies were born, over 2 million fewer than the 14.66 million in 2019. But population decline hasn't always been a concern of the Chinese government. In fact, previously, they welcomed it. China has controlled how many children people can have for decades. The infamous one-child policy was first introduced in 1979 as a way of stopping rapid population growth outpacing economic development. This was policed with huge fines and even forced abortions. It led to a huge gender imbalance in China, with many parents choosing to have an abortion or even abandon their child if it wasn't a boy. As of 2020, there are around 35 million more males than females in China. The one-child policy was relaxed in 2015, and the government began to allow families to have 2 children. But this policy isn't the only reason the birth rate is so low.
我觉得，像幼儿园呐、小学呀这些，如果能免费就好。对，是这样子。就是9年义务教育。
Many experts have actually blamed just how expensive it is to raise a child in China. Housing, education and food can cost a lot in the country, especially in the big cities.
我觉得现在状态是好的，但是如果现在
再加一个小孩，
我不保证我能够平衡得很好。
So now the government has relaxed the rules even further and introduced a 3-child policy. On its own, probably not. The 2-child policy did lead to a short-term increase in the birth rate, but that didn't last very long. And reaction online to the 3-child policy announcement was chilly at best. A poll on Xinhua's Weibo account asked their followers if they were ready for the 3-child policy. And 29,000 people out of the 31,000 who replied clicked the never even think of it option. The poll was quickly taken offline. It is shocking that in 2021, China has still so much control over women's bodies. But you could argue that those controls have been too successful. Generations are now used to having small families in China, and as shown in 2015, changing the rules won't necessarily work.
现在因为这一代独生子女比较多嘛，如果我要生3胎的话，其实就是网上也有讲的那个段子，如果等我小孩长大之后，我可能60岁的时候上有4个老，下有3个孩子，这压力非常大。
The government is trying other things to stop the aging population. They have promised to increase the retirement age, which will be unpopular, and to expand the pension system, which will be expensive. It isn't the first country to face this population problem. The current fertility rate is actually in line with Italy and Japan. The difference is, in other countries, they got rich before they got old. That hasn't happened in China. It's why it's such a big headache for the Chinese government. And simply hoping more people have more babies isn't going to reverse the trend.